welcome to Kate Anjou's Book Reviews, the place where we shine a spotlight on indie books and their authors. So today we are going to be covering Ashen by Sabrina Voorman. That is out on the 15th of March this year and available for pre-order now. So let's get into it. So Ashen is the follow-up to Blood Coven, as you can see here. And it's also really worthwhile checking out. And it's the second book in the Bloodbound series. Although it's part of a series, it is its own standalone novel as well. There are nods and references to other books in the series, but you don't need to have read those books to follow this story at all, and vice versa as well. So, don't think, oh, I can't read this one until I've read Blood Coven, because that's not the case. But as I said, I do recommend you read Blood Coven because it's a very good book. Basically, we follow a girl called Terenia Luca, and she is pretty badly treated by her family, and she has almost a rivalry going on with her sister, her younger sister Asta, and they very much dislike each other. This goes beyond just normal sibling rivalry, and because of various incidents that occur, which I'm not going to go into because this is, as always, a spoiler-free review. Terenia has to leave town. And then we sort of jump forward 10 years later, and she is living a particular type of life. It's not really going as she had envisioned. And she gets granted this opportunity to essentially be able to grasp everything that she's ever wanted: eternal beauty, eternal youth, and ultimate power, essentially. And that's very much the bare bones of the plot. And that's kind of all I want to go into in terms of any sort of summary. I will be delving into other things as the review goes on, but that's the bare bones of the plot to kind of get you started. So the characters in this, they're a whole new set of characters that we've not met before. We have, as I mentioned, Terenia. And Terenia, she is just one of the most deliciously brilliant characters that I've come across in a while. She is multifaceted, as is all of Sabrina's characters, Sabrina's characters rather. She has loads of layers going on. She is intelligent, she's cunning, she's strategic, she's power hungry, but she also has a vulnerability. As much as she wouldn't want anyone to see it, there is a vulnerability there. She wants not only power, but to be adored and worshipped and admired and feared. We start off very much in her corner. She is treated so awfully by the people who are supposed to love her most. She is shown a kindness through this brothel owner, this madame called Madame Scarlet, and she teaches her the ways of witchcraft. And Terenia uses that power to forward herself. But she's not afraid to get her hands dirty. She's not afraid to use all of the tools in her arsenal to get what she wants. And as we see this character develop and her story unfold, we start to question things about morality and her ethics, and is this worth it? And at the same time, though, we still root for her, even though she's not always the most ethical of people. There's always an understandable reason why she does what she does. She's a very human character for someone who kind of ends up is not really someone who we would associate with humanity, I would say. There's like a turning point, but she is very human. No one's perfect. Sabrina really deals in the morally grey, and how nothing is black and white, and how you know, really good people can do terrible things, and awful people can do good things. And it's just all about motivation and the situation that you have in life. So it's really interesting to see her develop. And as you'll see in the interview with Sabrina, there's lots more of her story to be told, much more than what I'm giving here. And it's very exciting, really. It's a very exciting character. There is a lot in this story about femininity and feminine rage and taking the power back, but there are also a multitude of really great male characters. We've got this man called Roman, and he is the head of this, essentially a blood cult, and it's called the Brotherhood. And he and his two brothers, Ivan and Nikolai, they run this blood cult, and they have a deal with the local village people. And he is the one that offers Terenia this path that she can choose. And their dynamic is wonderful. They are both so cunning. They are both so driven, and they have this sort of almost cat and mouse dynamic going on, and you don't know who's got the upper hand, and you know, who's getting one over, and you know, and it's so full of twists and turns. You never really know what's going on. It's really, really great to see. And he's got, so you can tell, like, he has got such a rich history in his life. And he is, again, he's a very stoic character. He doesn't give much away, but thanks to the quality of Sabrina's writing, we do still get so much from him as to the type of person that he is. And by the end, like, he'll completely blow you away. That's all I'm going to say. And then we have Ivan. And Ivan is Ivan. Well, okay, so when we meet him, he's wrestling a bear for fun. Just to give you like an idea of his type of character. You know, he's very much a brutish man. He's completely driven by his id factor, you know, his carnal desires, his base pleasures, his, you know, he just, yeah, he likes to indulge. And there is a lovable quality about him, and he brings the spice. Not all the spice, but some. And he is another one where don't judge him too quickly, you know, because he'll surprise you. And again, that's all I want to say on that. And then Nikolai is kind of, out of the three of them, he's the heart, you know, like you could say that Roman is the brains and Ivan is the muscle, and Nick is the heart. And he and his brothers don't always see eye to eye, and we find out a lot more about him in another book yet to come. But he is very important to this story and how these characters and a lot of this plot develops. And we see a very different side of humanity and a very different side of this world that we're in through him, because a lot of the characters that we read are very bloodthirsty, very like power hungry, and very meticulous. And he tries to think with his heart and think with trying to be a better person. And he doesn't always do as he's supposed to, and that can cause a lot of trouble for him. And it's a really lovely character. He's a really lovely character, and again, we don't know too much about him, but we do still get very much a sense of who he is and what he's about and the kind of struggles that he's gone through. And as I say, we do find out more about him down the line in this series. So you know, if you like what you read in this one, then definitely keep an eye on Sabrina Voorman's Instagram and things, and keep an eye out for releases, because that book will be out next year, in 2025. So yeah, it's definitely one that you want to keep your eye on for sure. And then there's like a lot of sort of smaller side characters. We've got Madame Scarlet, who I mentioned before. She's a really wonderful character. I really like her a lot, and she's kind of the kind of person that I aspire to be when I'm a grown up. You know, like she's just, you know, and again, she's one of these people that aren't always black and white. She's, you know, she's a good person, but she is considered a sinful woman, and she has a lot more than meets the eye. But I mean, you read her and you just can't help but fall in love. She's wonderful. We have Asta, who, she is a conniving little cow. And is really the driving force behind a lot of Terenia's motivation for things, as well as her mother, who you just can't help but loathe. And there are lots of side characters within the Brotherhood and within the court that they discuss and what's the word? Strategize with, and things like that. So, you know, a lot of the politics are there, and they're all really interesting. And I don't know, but I have a feeling that they're going to come into things later. And also, we have Anya, who is a confidant of Terenia, one of the very few people, if maybe the only person, that she feels that she can trust. And even then, I don't think she trusts her completely. But again, we see another side of Terenia through Anya. So Anya is a very important person. And I really think that we're going to see a lot more of her later on in the series. Again, I don't know, but I would suspect that that is the case. And I honestly can't wait for that. It's going to be really good, I think. So the setting, this world is not our world. It's a historical fantasy. So it's set, it would be like, if it were in our world, it would be a few hundred years ago. There's no modern technology. Everything's, you know, in the forests and in the little villages, and it's all, you know, wise women and like natural remedies and those kinds of things. It's very much written in that style as well. It really, you know, you really get sucked into this world, and even though it's not our world, you really, when you read it, you really just get such a sense of the type of place that it is and what the parameters are there and the kind of mentalities that they would be holding. The world itself has a real kind of otherworldly vibe, not because just of the way that it's described, or the fact that, you know, you've got magic and folklore and like an element of sort of mythology and things, you know, but also just in the names. I mean, things like Terenia, and, you know, Nikolai, and even like the place names, like, you know, Terenia is from a place called Sylvania. It, you know, it sounds like similar things that we know of, but just that bit different. And so you kind of get this very unnerving sense of like, we're not in Kansas anymore, you know, like that sort of energy. So that's the other thing as well. Like Sabrina just has this really fantastic ability to create this whole world. And it's so clear in her mind about, you know, what where everything is situated, how everyone sort of relates to each other, and how it all kind of comes together in this bigger picture. And we only see a very small glimpse of that, but you get this sense of this much bigger world within what we're shown, like, so outside, sorry, of what we're shown. So yeah, it's really, well, magical to be a part of, and you really do get sucked into it, and you really do feel like you are there with these characters in this place. And this place is a dangerous and cruel place, and you are not safe, and you have to have your wits about you at all times. So yeah, it's exciting. I've alluded to the writing, but it really would be remiss of me not to talk about it. Sabrina has this incredible ability to convey so much in not a lot, you know, like she just has to write a couple of sentences and boom, you are transported right to where she wants you to be. It's a talent that I've never managed to possess. My ethos clearly is, why say one word when you can say 20? But you know, it's a really wonderful talent that she has, and everything is for a reason. Everything is very precise, very particular, and it all contributes to this overall writing style, which is enrapturing, is the best way that I can describe it. I'm not even sure if enrapturing is a word, but you just get completely sucked into this, and it's very authentic and a very organic way of writing. For those of you who checked out my last episode with Stephen, Sabrina adopts a very similar writing style to him, in that she lets her characters tell that story, and she just fits the story about what her characters are telling her, where they are supposed to go. And it's really inspiring, and the way that she runs with these ideas is just, it's quite incredible, and I can't really describe it any better than that. You'll just have to read it to see what I mean. Within this book, we have not only heteronormative relationships going on, but we also have queer representation as well. And I think that is not only great to have that varied representation, but it's also very authentic. Authentic seems to be the word of the day, but it is. And I feel like, you know, these types of characters with their lifestyle of not limiting themselves and not wanting to restrict themselves in any way, you know, they've lived for as long as they have, and lived a very full lifestyle. Of course they're going to want to explore every side of life, whether that's in their activity, sexual or otherwise, whether it's in the people that they choose to love in whatever shape or form that love takes. And love is love, whether it's between same sex or different sex, or whether it's emotional or whether it's physical, you know, and all of these sides get explored within this book. And it's never, there's a lot of spice in this book. It's not like a smart book, but there is a lot of spice. And is it sexy? Yes. Is it enjoyable to read? Absolutely. Is it varied? Yeah. And it's also, every single point there'll be something about it that either forwards the plot or develops a character arc in some way. You know, and I think that is such a great way of going about it, because there is a lot of darkness to this book. And I think if the spicy scenes were to be too frivolous and too, you know, oh, going to do some of this and going to do some of that, it wouldn't suit the tone of the book. It's a very intense tone to the story, and there is some humor in it, but not a lot. And it's the characters, for the most part, are very kind of brooding or calculated, and it's all kind of that. And so I feel like the sex scenes mirror that as well. You know, they are quite intense, they're quite devilish, but it's not like, oh, such and such had a romp in the back, you know, sort of thing. It's like, it's more decadent than that. And it really suits the tone of the story. And the fact that Sabrina doesn't shy away from LGBTQ relationships is really great to see. And I think, you know, we need more of that. It's starting to come through more and more in literature, and especially in fantasy literature as well. You know, I think that there's quite a lot of scope to play with different sexualities and things, and explore that. But like, it's really good to see that it's not being shied away from, and Sabrina certainly doesn't do that. So yeah, it's really good to see. So in summary, this book, honestly, it's fantastic. It's well written. It's fully developed. It has rich, multifaceted characters. It's intriguing. It has twists and turns and power play and different dynamics. There's a whole kind of like, you know, bring down the patriarchy kind of energy to it, but you know, within that world. And it's plays around with mythology and folklore and history, and there's heart to it, and there's blood and gore, and I mean, it's gothic as you like, you know, like everything, just every page of this book feels like it's either sparkling with magic or dripping in blood, you know, like every page. And I tell you what, this book goes to some dark places. Like, I'm a big horror fan. I'm a big horror book reader. I'm a big horror movie watcher. I always have been. And this book, there were one or two moments where I was like, oh, okay. Ooh, right then. You know, it goes to some places that not a lot of books have the balls to do, at least not ones I've read lately. And fair play. It's, yeah, it really is fantastic. I don't have a physical copy of it. It's still in its very, 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 very final stages of its final editing. Otherwise I'd be showcasing it all over the place. It's got a stunning cover. If you're following my Instagram or like my TikTok or any of my socials, you'll have seen its cover. It's gorgeous. And it's gonna go so nicely you know, on my shelf. But I did read the beta. I was one of the beta readers, so you're welcome. And I've been sent like an e-copy since, you know, since then things. So yeah, God, I just can't wait to have it in my hands. Me and physical media. But yeah, so it's a really fantastic book. It really delves into morality and what, you know, when's it okay, when are things not okay, where is it that you cross the line to get what you want, you know, like Terenia really uses every single weapon in her arsenal and then some. And for the most part, you're kind of like, yeah, and then every now and then you're like, ooh, okay. It's just a book. When you finish it, you're just itching to know what happens next. You just, I'm gonna have to wait a little while, but we won't have to wait too long for this book, thankfully. So that leads me on to when it's going to be released. I mentioned it earlier. It's the 15th of March. You can pre-order it now, though. Please go and pre-order it. Make sure you get your hands on a copy, whether that's a physical copy or on your Kindle or ebook. It's available through Quill and Crow Publishing and also Amazon. I think I said in the interview that it wasn't available for pre-order, or I said something that it wasn't available. I can't remember. I think I've said somewhere that it wasn't available for pre-order through Amazon, but that was a misnomer on my part. It absolutely is. Yeah, just go and order. And yeah, and if you don't get a chance to before then, it is out on the 15th of March. And yeah, you'd be very remiss to miss this one. If you would like to follow me on social media, I am under kate.orangeju. Wait. Oh my goodness, it's the dots that get me. Okay. It's kate.orangejuice.book.reviews. I'm just going to put it up on my screen from now on. I'll just do this and then you'll see it, and then I won't have to say it and make an idiot of myself. It's like, it's your name, Kate. Apparently you can't get that right. So anyways, yeah, I am available on TikTok and Instagram under that handle. You can find me on Facebook at Kate Orange Juice Book Reviews, or you can email me at kateorangejuicebookreviews@outlook.com. So yeah, go ahead and follow online, and you'll be able to see reels and little memes, and there's a lot of, on the Facebook book in particular, there's a lot of interaction with me and my followers. So if that's kind of what you like to do and you want to share what you're reading, either pop it on the Facebook page or tag me. I'm always so interested to see what people are reading. It doesn't have to be horror and fantasy. Those are my genres, but they're not my only genres. I am always interested in finding new and different authors, and again, it doesn't have to be indie. It can be literally anything. I like to focus on indie on this show because of reasons that I've said in the intro about shining a light. But I'm, anything that you want to share with me book related, please, I would love to see what you guys are into. And if you want to contact me about the show at all, if you are an author who wants to come on, or if you have any questions or feedback, again, feel free to get in touch. I would love to hear from you. So yeah. Thanks very much for watching. And next episode, I will be joined by Catherine Ferns. She is a fantastic author, also under Quill and Crow. Shout out to Quill and Crow. And we will be discussing her book, All the Parts of the Soul. That is available now. So if you want to read it before the next episode comes out, that will be coming out at the end of February. So we've got a little bit of a break now, but it just gives me time to read the book, honestly. But yeah, I'm very excited to read it, and I'm so excited to chat with her on the show. If you are listening on Spotify or Apple or any of the podcast platforms, and you want to hear the interview with Sabrina, just continue listening. It will be up in a minute. Or otherwise, if you are on my YouTube channel, which is also kate.orangejuice.book.reviews, then you can just go onto my channel and it will be on there for your viewing pleasure. As always, thank you so much for listening or watching and engaging. Really do appreciate it, as do the authors who are involved in this show, and I will catch you next time.